do you have or can you comment on whatever species have been that have been piloting these craft? How are they large? Are they multiple species? What is their size? And how many are usually on a craft?
They're typically the multiple species people really like the Greys, the Nordics. People have talked about reptilians and insectoids. It's not that they're reptilian or insectoid, it's that they resemble to the precipitant of reptile or an insect type humanoid, because they have this head and four limbs and torso.
So large, small?
Human size, human scale.
And are there how many are a crew?
Well, the Greys I'm familiar with from investigating the crash at Corona, which is misnamed the crash at Roswell. It's not the crash at Roswell, it's the crash at Corona, Mexico. Those were Greys, those were both tall. And the Nordics are typically human sized, probably, I'm from 5'6" feet tall. And same with the people who mislabel reptilian and insectoid, they're roughly that top height too. I haven't heard anything about anything 7 or 8 feet away.
I don't know whether you know or not, whether it's the real deal or not, but it certainly is one of the best videos we've ever seen close up of what purports to be a UFO. Do you know anything about that one? It's supposed to be from Istanbul, Turkey.
If this is a video which is called a Kumburgaz video, which is a close-up of a craft, in fact so close that you can see the occupants.
All I can describe, this huge Mexican hat. It was stationary, this thing, and it was bright silver in colour, and it had a dome. It was tilted to sort of, I could see the occupants in it.
You saw people in it?
I saw people in it. There were 2 people in there. These people were beautiful people. That's the only way I can describe them. They had long golden hair, like a page boy bob, just like the old kings. You used to see photographs of the old kings. And the colour of the hair was golden.
Laji, rotu tai sivilisaatio, josta Jesse Rosenberg kertoi vuonna 1954, viittaa Pleiadians-rotuun. Moni ihminen maailmassa kertoo olevansa tätä ulkonaisesti pohjoisen ihmisen kaltaista rotua. Barbara Handclaw sanoo olevansa yksi heistä.
More than a week ago, we just had our second congressional hearing about UFOs and UAPs with eyewitness accounts on this progress toward deeper disclosure about what's really going on, with us being connected with the galactic races as well. Where do you see that also progressing in the next coming years, leading up to this big convergence point in 2027 that you alluded to in the beginning?
Yeah, this is a hard one to deal with. I'm very, very careful with this one because the global elite may try to pull some kind of mass landing event that'll divert people from where they're actually going. Like we could see a great big landing of spaceships in Jerusalem, so that then you could say you got to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem or whatever, Washington, D.C., whatever we're going to call it. So I think it's very, very important to realize that extraterrestrials often are not really like us 3D humans. They have some characteristics and some similarities, but they're mostly existing in very high dimensions, and they're not physical. And so what we see down here is we see manifestations of them, partly because our consciousness is partly more open. But I think it's also important to recognize that all of us have lots of extraterrestrial characteristics. And as our dimensionality opens up, then, for instance, in my case, I relate strongly to the 5th dimension. I'm very Pleiadian, and I'm very comfortable with that because I'm an indigenous person and I was taught that I came from the Pleiades. So it doesn't bother me that I'm partly Pleiadian. But I'm probably also partly Andromedan, I'm partly Syrian, I don't really know. And I think those things are waking up in us.
I guess my suspicion that it's likely non-human intelligence from some other galaxy or far out in our own galaxy that have come here but some time back and that there are stations here.
JFK:n murha vaikuttaa yhä selvemmin liittyvän paljastukseen.
Do you think that UFOs played any sort of part in JFK's death?
This is pure speculation until we see. But do I think so? Yes. I think it was probably the number one issue, is that he wanted to talk openly about the UAP phenomenon and the basis for why don't we stop fighting with each other and join forces and make peace.
UFO-havainnot keskittyvät usein ydinaselaitoksiin, mutta niitä on ympäri maailmaa. Steven Greer ja moni muu kertoo salailuun liittyvän sotilasteollisuuden mustiin projekteihin.
What the public, and this is true of the senators and the congressmen and the White House, they are not read in to these other projects. They simply aren't. You know, I had a friend of Trump's tell me over this past weekend that he said they just don't tell us much or anything, or very little.
Havainnot ovat hyvin erilaisia ja ajan mittaan muuttuvia. Salvatore Pais vihjaa, että kyse voi olla muusta ihmiskunnasta irtautuneesta sivilisaatiosta.
You think the 1890s airships?
There was some terrestrial engineering geniuses back there. Look at Nikola Tesla.
But that would just be wild. That's beyond belief to me.
What if it's all fucking connected?
Do you think it could all be human stuff from the 1890s on?
All of the records could be gone, you know?
I mean, but that's just a crazy cover-up.
And just use the AT craft kind of like because they never, again, I believe their fucking craft touches on manipulation of the super force.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you do that? How do you manipulate something at the planck scale?
Keep that secret for 140 years. That seems great.
They also didn't have a lot of the materials technology advances yet, you know.
Sometimes survival makes you crazy.
They would need some sort of parapsychological root access to, control. They would need the mind stuff.
That,
in order to,
or possibly a brotherhood of the occult.
Yeah, something like that, like a breakaway civilization, like that.
Breakaway civilization.
Just arriving at some insights.
Read up on Dr. Farrell's ideas on a breakaway civilization. Also Dolan. Don't forget Richard Dolan.
But who in the 1890s would have been privy to Heaviside's insights in a way that allowed them to finance the building of, these exotic craft?
No, there's some powerful families back then. I'm not going to name names. These are still extremely powerful. Put it this way. It's much better that we know certain names, but we don't know the invisible ones. Because touching even on the invisible one's existence is not a good idea. And it impacts our survival. And again, none of us here are suicidal. We love being alive. Absolutely.